Kiri stares at him, curiosity practically written all over their face. Not gonna bite you, he winks, as he places his hand back on their outstretched paws. They are practically beaming as they carefully take and study his hand from multiple angles, getting a closer look at his index finger, thumb and palm. They emanate a soft trill, reminding him of a girly giggle, as they make small discoveries here and there. As Kiri stumbles upon his fingernail in particular, they look at him with a curious expression. That's my fingernail. Kinda like a claw, I guess, Frederick explains, pretty sure that they didn't understand even a single word. He wouldn't, that's for sure. Kiri sort of shrugs at him, and goes back to examining his hand, poking it here and there. He figured they might be interested in his thumbs, especially considering their own fingers are way more bestial compared to his own, and the fact that thumbs are kind of a big deal back on Earth. But no, of all the things that might interest them, it's his fingernails that are the most intriguing. Weird, he muses, suddenly fighting the urge to giggle. They're curious prodding tickles, but he doesn't want to scare them again by doing some random noises out of nowhere. So he lets them continue studying his hand in fascination, and he himself looks around the room, searching for any kind of distraction from their tickling, silently regretting his decision. Well, actions and consequences and all that. He lets his gaze wander around the room, and his eyes stop on top of her ears. Her 4 ears. That's still pretty wild. The ears are divided into 2 pairs, just like their arms, but unlike those, their ears are also visibly different from each other. The inner pair of ears is a lot smaller than the outer ones, and have all red fur, while the larger outer pair has white tips, and the shape is generally a bit pointier. The inner ones also look even fluffier than the outers. He fights the urge to touch them. They just look way too soft not to, but that would be all kinds of weird, and he doesn't want to be that kind of guy. So he starts wondering why and how their ears are that way, and what kind of evolutionary drive would lead them to being split into 2 pairs, just like their arms. Lost in thought, he doesn't notice as they let go of his hand and only manages to snap out of his musings once they speak up again. Frederick? He shakes his head and blinks a few times, embarrassed that he was blatantly staring at them. Sorry, didn't get that. What do you want? He asks with an embarrassed smile, scratching the back of his head. Kiri seems to think about something as they look back at Frederick, their outer left ear twitching as they chit to themselves. They suddenly ask, looking at him intently and gesture getting up and doing things as he would interpret it. He thinks on it for a moment, taking time to process. I'm not really feeling well enough for anything more than a relaxed walk, but I'll go crazy if I'm going to stay in bed all day, so sure, he answers with a nod. Kiri looks happy, and they give him a bright smile as they tell and gesture him to get up then. Alright. Frederick slowly gets up from the bed, his blanket still wrapped around him as he stands in front of Kiri. It is also not long enough to touch the floor, he realizes. Hard-pressed to tell them that he would like some clothing, he points at their pretty fabrics and tugs at his blanket. Kiri needs a moment to process what he meant by that, but soon enough realizes his clothing-related problem and flicks their outer ears at him before they skip over to the cabinet, rummaging through its contents. A heartbeat later, they are back and present 2 different sets of clothing. One set resembling a pastel pink and crimson outfit from ancient Egypt. The other similar in shape to Kiri's set, but with different shades of green, instead of the blues of her own outfit. Okay, usually I'm not that big of a fan of pink, but that looks awesome. Also, not a big fan of showing my belly like that. Way too feminine for my tastes. He starts imagining himself walking around in that get-up. Nah, no way, he chuckles. He points to the Egyptian set and nods with a thumbs up, but shakes his head as he points to the other outfit, crossing his hands to form an X with them. His blanket slips a bit as he lets go briefly, and he has to awkwardly cash grab it before it completely slides off his shoulders. Much to Kiri's entertainment, they stagger as they hold out the first set to him, waiting for him to take it. He can't help but smile at their cute reaction as he grabs the elegant-looking outfit. As he takes a look at the clothes and starts guessing how to put them on, Kiri saunters back over to the cabinet. He watches them for a moment as they meticulously fold and tuck away the green fabrics, and a stray thought occurs to him. I guess that solves the male-female question. Pretty smart on her part. He glances at the exposed back, a distinct hourglass shape visible. Yup, her. Definitely her. She gets a hint of my sex without using words, only using clothes. Clever, he nods. Bubbles suddenly reminds him that they are also still present, nudging him from the side, and he has to catch himself from stumbling. Hey, what's that for? He playfully complains. At first they seem to be pondering something, but with a once again very human-looking headshake, they dismiss their thought, bark purring happily once. Rah! They declare, poking his left thigh with their snout. Oh, you think it would suit me? He pats him on top of the head, grinning. By the way, am I just imagining things, or have you grown? I could swear you were just this big a while ago, he asks, holding his free hand slightly above his knee. Rawr. They reply noncommittally. Huh, he thinks out loud, staring ahead with a blank expression. Even the sounds his crimson friend makes have changed. What used to be a sweet, high-pitched bubbling is now a deep rumble vaguely resembling a tiger's purr, a lot less cute and hugely more intimidating in his opinion. But Bubbles is, and will always be, his cute, little, fuzzy ball of death and cuddles. Nothing is going to change that. Not even alien puberty. Scratching the crest of Chitinous' armor on top of their head, he decides to poke a bit of fun at them as they blissfully lean into his hand. Aw, doesn't mean my little bubbly-wobbly hip puberty, he jokes, using the most annoying baby talk he can muster. They open their eyes again and stare at him, withdrawing a bit, giving him sass. Brrrah! Oh, feeling rebellious? My, truly a teen, through and through. Am I going to find some nasty Crimson Beast magazines under that bed of yours soon? He grins. Brrrah! They dismiss him, shoving him with a bit more force than before, aka screw you. Meanwhile, Kiri has returned and gestures for him to raise his arms, likely trying to help him get into his new attire. Alright, sure. He takes the blanket off his shoulders and gently throws it on the bed behind him, trying not to make too much of a mess. He then nods to Kiri and holds his arms out in a typical A pose, giving Bubbles a cheeky sideways glance while sticking his tongue out a bit. His crimson companion just turns away at his stupid jab and rumbles dismissively as they walk back to the bed, jumping on top of it and lying down with a pouty snort. As he turns back to face Kiri, he notes that they have a somewhat concerned feeling vibe to them all of a sudden. Everything alright? He asks politely, feeling a bit concerned because they are concerned. Sound logic, right? She flicks her ears in a gesture that feels like a human shaking their head and smiles at him, her excited and hyper self back in force again. He briefly looks down at himself, wondering what might have disturbed him so, much to his own horror. He has lost weight. A lot of weight. An unhealthy amount of weight. If he were to guess, he is probably weighing in at only 60 to 65 kilograms, instead of his usual 88 to 90. Way too little for someone roughly 2 meters tall. I didn't even realize. That's going to take a while. Frederick curiously pokes at one of the slightly opaque patches of medical glue in his abdomen as he spots it, cringing at the weird sensation. Bleh, he shudders. That felt disgusting. Like an exposed nerve getting hit, just not nearly as painful. Great. And now he has goosebumps. At first curious, then weirded out, then simply entertained by the weird shenanigans of the stranger in front of her, Kiri makes one of her giggle trills again. It is infectious, and Frederick follows suit, the two of them sharing a laugh at his silliness. Forgot how good laughing feels. A short while later, Kiri steps back from Frederick and observes her handiwork, nodding to herself in satisfaction. She manages to tuck away the sleeves with the lower arms quite well. It fits him, surprisingly so. She has decided that, until proven otherwise, Frederick is most likely a male, maybe a bit hasty considering how she determined his gender, sure, but she thinks her method is good enough. For now. Not like that kind of exotic name would give her any kind of clue at his gender. Anyways. You look great, she cheers him on, meaning it. She prides herself with her sense of fashion, as she has once again proven that she is doing so rightfully. Frederick inspects his new outfit, raising his arms over his shoulders and doing other kinds of gymnastics as he tests his range of motion in a, to her, very strange-looking way. And maybe it's a bit entertaining. Maybe. I like it. Considering it's made for a completely different species, it fits pretty well, actually. And it looks awesome, he growls for himself. Kiri unable to make any of his words out. After a short pause, he stops twisting and moving to properly face Kiri. His eyes meet hers with a friendly gleam to them. Thanks, he cheerily says. That she understood. What she can't really understand, though, is the concept of showing your fangs as a sign of joy. But she has quickly caught on to his weird facial expressions, and has even managed to categorize some of them. A select few are actually somewhat close to the common one she is used to already, so she guesses at least some expressions are truly universal. Still, why bear fangs like that? Also the blood beast. Boblaz, if she remembers correctly, has jumped down from the bed again a few minutes ago, and is currently leaning against her leg. Even though it was currently sitting down, it still manages to reach up to her hips in height, and it's going to grow a whole lot more. She shudders at the thought and, after considering her options, prefers to think back to how she played with it earlier, focusing on that mental image instead. Yep, that's better. She nods to the door and starts gesturing again. Frederick seems to quickly get what she wants from him, if she uses gestures, so she started using them pretty much all the time a while ago. Safe to say, getting his clothes on definitely was a learning experience, for both of them. But as a result, they can now at least communicate basic ideas with relative success. I'd like to introduce you to the others. You want to come with me? She offers. Sure,